beginning December 2029, December 29, 2020, sorry, a new dome began to form. So the volcano kept erupting effusively, and then there was heightened activity in the period March 23rd to 25th, when earthquakes were recorded. The volcano then became a bit quiet, continuing to erupt effusively. And then there was again heightened activity this past week, last week. Following the heightened activity and the earthquakes, one of which registered 3.9 on the scale, there have been eruptions, explosive eruptions. Those eruptions began 2 days ago, and we now have ashfall covering St. Vincent and the Grenadines and neighboring countries. So following the heightened activity with the explosive eruptions, we now have activated 85 shelters in the green zone. The green zone is the zone farthest away from the volcano. The volcano is located in the north of the island. So the communities closest to the north were ordered to evacuate on April 8th. And of course, the administration, the National Emergency Management Organization, had already developed a plan for the orderly evacuation of residents in the red zones. So we have removed residents from the red zones. Unfortunately, some residents decided that they would not self-evacuate or be evacuated. And so at this very moment, well, at least 2 hours ago, the Coast Guard was to have arrived by sea to evacuate those remaining in the red zone. And we have volunteers also trying to evacuate those people who remain in the most hazardous zone. So we have activated 85 shelters, and in those shelters, the last update was that we had 3,586 people. Okay, and of course, the National Emergency Operating Center is fully activated and is operating around the clock. And those departments and entities responsible for manning the shelters and for provisioning the shelters, they are busy at work. You might have heard reports that there is no food in the shelters and that there are people sleeping on the floor. These situations will be remedied. I must emphasize the point that this is rather unfortunate, because you know that we live in a multi-hazard area. We have the volcano, we have occasional earthquakes, and we have the hurricane season. And so the process of public education and communication through NEMO is ongoing. And NEMO, since the volcano began erupting effusively last year, has been conducting visits to the communities, educating the residents in the communities on the process for evacuation, how they should prepare for evacuation. So it is rather unfortunate that people do not appear to have prepared for the evacuation, because it is usually advised that they have with them supplies, personal supplies, hygiene supplies, a bit of food, to make sure that they have their medication in the event that they must be evacuated. So as you can appreciate, the situation is a bit unsettled at the moment, but believe me when I say that every effort is being made to procure the supplies to ensure that those persons who have been displaced will have their needs met, their needs for food, for shelter, safety and security. Of course, this is all complicated by the COVID-19 situation. There's a public health concern as well. Now, with regard to the safe sheltering of our displaced people, we have received assistance from Royal Caribbean and from Carnival Cruise Lines. They are hosting some of our displaced people. And some of our neighboring countries are welcoming our displaced people as well, namely Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada. They are prepared to welcome our people. But of course, at this point, we have to make sure that the movement of our people is orderly and that we have everyone properly registered. We have to keep families intact. We have to make sure that we know where our nationals are going. If they are leaving our shores, everything must be done in an orderly and managed manner. And that is what our administration is working on at this moment. And all hands are on deck. All hands are on deck. Everyone has been mobilized. And so the situation on the ground is that the volcano, of course, I'm speaking as a layperson. I'm giving you very general information, not any sort of specific information, because we have our scientists who provide the information to the leadership of the country, and the details are provided through those means. And the University of the West Indies, the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, has the matters in hand and provides all of the necessary information. So what we have as a result of the explosive eruptions is a situation where there is ash in the air, and that ash is being spread to our neighboring countries, and that is making the environment very hazardous. So we have to be careful that our people are protected, that they have the information, that they know that they must wear their masks. The roads, I understand, have become a bit perilous because it is raining, or it has been raining. And the rain, I understand, again, from a layman's perspective, that the ash, when it comes into contact with the rain, becomes hard. And I understand also that our roads are a bit slippery. And if you know the topography of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you will know that we are a mountainous island. We are mountainous, our roads are winding, so it is best that our people exercise extreme caution if they have to move. And that is why the residents of one of the most northerly communities have been evacuated by sea. The Coast Guard is probably on its way back to Kingstown, the green zone, with those residents who had chosen to remain. Note I said chosen to remain, put in the red zone. In addition to that, we are, like I said, we are managing, the Ministry of Health has to be managing the COVID-19 situation. That adds a whole other dimension to the management of the volcanic situation, the evacuation of our people, their safe housing, provisioning them with the necessary supplies, but we also have to manage the COVID-19 situation. And so we do have a list of needs of those people in the shelters, and for to meet other needs to fill other gaps that exist on the ground. But I can assure you that NEMO and the directorate of the country, the leadership of the country, they are working assiduously to bring support and relief to our people. Our people, so far, we have not lost any lives, and we thank God for that. We have not lost any lives, but there has been some damage to infrastructure has been reported owing to the ash fall. And of course, the necessary assessments will be done by the competent authorities. So at this point, what I'm saying to you is purely anecdotal, as we await the assessments to be done by our local authorities with assistance, of course, overarching assistance from CDIMA, the Caribbean Disaster Management Association. Agency, pardon me, CDEMA, C-D-E-M-A, Caribbean Disaster Management Agency. That is a CARICOM entity. I must also let you know that the Barbados Defense Force has dispatched units to provide support to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the situation is being managed as well as it can be managed at this time to make sure that we preserve life and limb, and to make sure that our citizens, our people remain safe, that their families remain intact, that their needs are met. One of the issues that we have to look at, I'm saying this again as a layperson, and also as having been the shelter manager in my former job. The Ministry of Education was responsible for the management of shelters. So I am familiar with some of the needs. And one element that I would like us to look at, Andrew, I know that you like to think about certain sectors of the population, people with special needs, and also the children. Remember, the children have been displaced. They have very little to give them comfort at this time. So they would need toys and items to keep them engaged, to keep them busy. And it is a time of trial for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I understand that this time the eruptions are more intense than they were in 1979. And the assurance that we have is that in 1979, although the eruptions might not have been explosive then as they are now, we lost no lives. We were able to survive even without the sophisticated technology and the means of communication that exist now. We were able to survive then without the sophisticated means of communication and the technology that exists now. So basically that is where we are. The air quality is not very good. So in terms of airlifting supplies into St. Vincent at this time, we await the official reports, and we will be able to share with you authoritative information as it comes to hand from the NEMO. So thank you very much. So while our immediate needs are looking at providing immediate relief to our people, we also have to think about the medium and long-term elements of our rehabilitation or restoration, because we have to make sure that our water supplies remain intact. Right now, our Our Central Water and Sewage Authority is managing our water resources. They have some measures which they would usually put into place to ensure that our water supply remains healthy. Our electricity company is also on the alert, waiting to solve problems. The public, as usual, has access to all of the emergency numbers for the utilities and for any agency that would be able to provide support to them. So we are working very, very, very hard to ensure that people remain as safe as we can make them. We also look forward to the cooperation of our people to ensure that the systems which have been established to ensure their safety, their protection, and their survival have the desired effect. So Andrew, that is the overview that we have prepared for you, and I hope that it has given you a sufficiently clear understanding of what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, knowing that in 1979, the period of eruptions lasted from April to August. April 13th, a Good Friday, April 13th, 1979 was the first in the series of eruptions back then, and April 9th, 2021 is the start of this series of eruptions. So our scientists have told us that it is likely that this period of eruptions can go on for a while. Therefore, it is about meeting our people's needs now, ensuring their comfort and their satisfaction, because there is that element, there's comfort and there is satisfaction. Making sure that they're comfortable, that they're satisfied, and that we can keep them safe and healthy during the period of eruptions, and that they can eventually they'll be able to return home, because then we'll have to look at, providing assistance with ensuring that their homes are safe and that the integrity of their homes is good. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Gilchrist, for your update. I know welcome everyone who is here, who have joined us. If you have any questions for Ambassador, please let me know or drop it in the chat, but you're willing to ask some question. Ambassador, what I wanted to find out, what is the percentage of the Vincentians that has been evacuated from that area where the eruption happened? Or who, can you give us more detail on the evacuation?
Andrew, I would be happy to provide you with those, with the specific data as soon as they have been prepared by NEMO and have been published. The information which I have at hand is that we have 85 shelters with 3,586 people. I cannot at this point give you a percentage. Those data will be compiled when things settle down, because right now the focus is on moving people, settling them in, registering them properly, and making sure that they're comfortable. So the Ministry of Finance and Planning will, along with NEMO, conduct the assessment, compile the data, and we will have those data. Thank you very much. I think, Andrew, that the councillor has a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Clifton.
Yes, good afternoon, Caribbean brothers and sisters, and thank you, Ambassador Gilchrist, for your very comprehensive update. I think I speak not only on behalf of my constituents here in Randolph, Massachusetts, but the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts by indicating to you and the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that our thoughts and prayers are with the entire population. I also want to express our gratitude to Dominica, St. Lucia, Antigua, my own country, St. Kitts and Nevis, and the other countries that have been so responsive to Prime Minister Gonzalez's request for assistance. In fact, even before he indicated his willingness to seek support from the Caribbean countries, several Caribbean countries proactively had offered assistance. And I know my own Prime Minister Harris of St. Kitts and Nevis, he has already committed $1 million, and he has been encouraging his fellow men and women on St. Kitts and Nevis to accommodate as many Vincentians as possible. On a personal level, my own family home in Sandy Point in St. Kitts, which is about 10 miles away from the city of Bastia, we will be accommodating at least 3 or 4 Vincentians in their time of need and distress. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Now, we here in Randolph, we have a history of supporting our Caribbean countries in their times of need. It goes way back to the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, when we mobilized the entire community and we sent several truckloads of supplies, 3 or 4 delegations of doctors and so on to support our Haitian brothers and sisters. We did a similar thing for Dominica and so on. So we do have a history of humanitarian and charitable causes here in Randolph, Massachusetts. And certainly we look forward to working closely with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and with Authentic Caribbean through its chairperson, Mr. Andrew Sharp, who has been working ferociously for the Caribbean countries. And, over the last day and a half, I've had at least a couple of dozens of residents who have reached out to me through Facebook, email, telephone, and they have said to me, Councillor Clifton, what can we do? Please let us know what are the areas of needs, how can we support, and so on. So I think our community is ready to be mobilized to provide as much support as we can. And I see, lastly, a number of my constituents that are here at this virtual meeting, and I want to thank them for gracing us with their presence. And I look forward to further discussions as we continue this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Clifton. Are there anyone else that has any questions that they would like to ask? I
would just quickly like to ask Ambassador, thank you for the overall comprehensive presentation. The UK is being mobilised, and the High Commission here has been mobilising, and lots of various people around the community. My question is, when Dominica had their challenges recently, we were able, through our radio stations, able to connect to a station that was providing updated information about families and where people were on various bulletins. So I'm just requesting whether whichever radio station will be providing that type of information, that if we can be informed, we can then connect with our stations here and our colleagues just to give that information as well. And given that everything's digital these days, it's not that difficult to do anymore. Andrew, back to you. Sorry, back to the ambassador, I should say.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Through you, please, Andrew. Mr. Page, I thank you for that information, and I do understand the need for real-time information to be disseminated, diffused to our, internationally, because anxiety is created when there is a void, when there is no information. And so I will I know that our local or nationally owned radio station, NBCSVG.com, they have a live feed. They also have a Facebook feed, and there are also other media companies, including VC3, which do live feeds.
Yeah.
We can, through Andrew, send you information on those.
Thank you.
Were you asking though specifically about establishing direct contact with the media houses?
Yeah, if that's available, we'd be happy to do that.
We will look into that, Mr. Page, and we will provide you with that information. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Brenda had a question. She posted in the chat. Brenda asks, how are the Grenadines affected, Ambassador?
Thank you, Andrew. With regard to the Grenadines, you will remember that the Grenadines are far south. There is a 9-mile distance between the mainland and the closest Grenadine island. And not having received any specific information on the way in which they are affected, at this point, I will hazard a guess to say that it is likely that they have been affected by the ash fall. I do not know what the tides are like. I don't have any other information. And as I said before, we are awaiting official information from the authorities back home, but we will be happy to provide you with such information as soon as it is in hand. Thank you.
Thank you. And for all our viewers and Facebook Live viewers, we did invite the Seismic Research Center, but due to so many activities on the ground, they were not unable to attend this call, but they're planning to attend another call where we can get more details on the prolong of the volcano and the activities that are happening on the ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we will update you. We did reach out to them to provide us more information on the ground that is happening since it's run out of Trinidad and Tobago, working along with the local St. Vincent NEMA organization. So stay tuned. We're not finished with SVG yet. We're definitely going to keep a track on updates on what's happening on the ground, because it's according to the news report, we could be in few months of activities and lots happening. We have some other questions also, Ambassador. Someone had asked who would be responsible for the evacuation to the neighboring island. At whose cost will it be to those those evacuated to the neighboring islands? Sorry.
Thank you for the question. In the same way that the internal evacuation of our residents was managed, it will be managed by the leadership, to be managed by the administration. Thank you.
Perfect. Another one is, how has the island of Bequia been affected by it? Well, you went over that because there was neighboring islands. And will there, another question, Dr. Ambassador Gilchrist, will the neighboring island like Bequia will be accommodating some of the main islanders?
Sorry, in terms of the, I cannot speak to that at this point. Let me just double check my documents, please.
Yeah. Just would like to inform everyone. If you
Yes.
have a question, post it in the chat, or you could unmute to ask Ambassador.
Okay, so Andrew, to respond to that question about the Grenadines, emergency shelters in the Grenadines will be activated as necessary. They will be activated as necessary.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Ambassador, I see that efforts are being made, and we here in Massachusetts will be going into relief mode for SVG. And someone posted in the chat about cash contribution. Will the government have a specific funds account open for funds to be deposited for the affected residents and the entire situation? And also, will the government be establishing a protocol in terms of item being shipped into SVG to provide support for those who are affected?
Yes, those are two questions which need to be addressed, and will receive a response right now. So I thank you for that, for those questions. With regard to the account, yes, the account, we have account information for central government, for the accountant general. That information we can share with you so that the wire transfers can be made directly into the account of the accountant general. The embassy and consulates will not accept monetary donations. We cannot, we will not, nor will we set up any facilities such as Zelle or what's it, GoFundMe. We're government, we will not do that. So we will direct our donors to the central government's account information. We have the SWIFT codes and all of the necessary information, and we'll share with you. With regard to the protocols for the shipment of tangibles, actual goods, I can share that with you, Andrew. For dissemination is all written up. I neglected to send to you before this meeting, and we can share that with you. I can go through it briefly if you would. I will send
That's
it to
fine.
you.
And I'm going to mention some of the stuff them that you guys have requested that we have received from you from the list, which these are urgent needs like water tanks, bucket, folding cots, portable potties, blanket, field tent, field kitchens, sleeping mats, respiratory mask with filters, and those are probably the most urgent ones that you're going to be needed because of the ashes and the gas that it's emitting. So definitely those, that will be an urgent. Goggles, reflective vests, caution tape, hygiene kit, and water. So those are the list of items that will be working on the ground for donations from any persons who is listening to us here on Zoom and also on the Facebook Live. Working along with Councillor Clifton for Randolph. We'll be working along with the Caribbean restaurants in the designated area. Worcester, Arita's Kitchen in Worcester will be a donation point. We're also working with Brockton. Flavors Jamaica is another donation point to drop off the donated items. And we're ironing out with Councillor Clifton to establish donation points like what we did for the hurricane relief year ago. So guys, look out for the general information. If you want to be involved and want to find out more information, please jot your telephone number and email in the chat for me, please, so that we can update you once we get the information from Ambassador Office. But for now, we're looking at mobilizing items to be shipped in the next 2 weeks to SVG. So 1 week of mobilization of donation items, and to get them out the following week to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Andrew, I had a quick question. My name is Leonard Lee. I'm from Masks in the Community. I've been providing masks free of charge to Massachusetts and also in Jamaica, and just sent the shipment down to Barbados. And I want to be helpful. You mentioned some of the things. I have 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 masks with filters on them that I could definitely donate towards this cause. Please just give me the details, and I want to work with you as much as I can using my resources that I have at hand, and also storage facilities. I'm located in Boston, right in Dorchester. I work under the premise, anyone's hurting, we're all hurting. So I really want to be as productive and supportive as possible. So please use me. Please use me.
Absolutely. I dropped my contact information. If you could drop yours in the chat and let us connect later on this evening via phone. Absolutely, those masks, I'm looking at the different masks that we can send down. Also, we definitely have to provide COVID items too, because of COVID and the volcano. So most definitely, we will definitely be relying on that and communicating with Ambassador. Hopefully we can get these stuff down to you as quickly as possible for persons on the ground.
All right, there are two things that are urgent for me. One is the council will be sitting tomorrow, and so I will update the council as to what the situation is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I would need folks to let me know, what the basic priority areas are. So that's one thing, so that I can bring to the attention of the community. And the second thing that I would need, obviously the press is going to be inquiring. So we would need to have a statement for the South Shore media, Massachusetts South Shore media. So those two things are pretty urgent for me.
Okay, excellent. Michael, you had your hand up?
Yes.
Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Michael here from London, England. More question for the ambassador or those in St. Vincent. I was just curious, what is the impact of ash on the citizens there? I know, obviously, I'm not sure actually. I spoke to someone, a relative in Barbados today, and they said, the government there are saying stay indoors because the ash has reached as far as Barbados. So what's the health impact if people are touched by ash? Because if it's reached as far as Barbados, I presume. And also, is the volcanic ash erupting across the whole of St. Vincent? Because I appreciate it's in the north, and I've spoken to family in the south, and it's and I don't know how troubled they are by it. So could you give us an update on that, please?
Thank you very much for that question. Through you, please, Chair. I will give you a response from a layman's perspective. During one of the explosive eruptions, ash was emitted and reached up to 20,000 feet in the air. It was being blown in a northeasterly direction. And I understand anecdotally that Barbados is experiencing ash fall. There is light ash in Grenada, and there is ash in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Sorry, St. Lucia. And with specific regard to the impact, again, as a layperson, there are ash particles in the air. These are very fine, and they can get into the respiratory system, causing discomfort and I would imagine some damage. The ash is also harmful to the eyes and to the skin. When it comes, I suppose, when it comes into water, when it comes into contact with water, excuse me, it hardens, and this can cause problems for the drainage systems, because I heard our seismologist, Dr. Richard Robertson, advising that the ash should not be swept into the drains, because you know that if the ash is swept into the drains in huge quantities and then it rains, then that is going to harden and block out drains, which would give rise to flooding, which sets off in itself a series of hazards for our people. So to answer your question very succinctly, the ash is hazardous to the health of people and of course to livestock. So I know that we have respirator masks with filters as items of need. I am awaiting a specific list regarding what we need to do in terms of ensuring that we have, let's say, nebulizers and maybe saline solution to be used with the nebulizers, because the respiratory issues are going to increase in number. And so we have to ensure that people will have some relief from the ash fall. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Ambassador. This is Dr. Kadrin Gill from Los Angeles. Can you
Yes,
hear
Dr. Gill. Dr. Gill, yes, I didn't get you when I called you back. Yes.
Yes, thanks for the invitation. And I'm not in the talking in military metaphors. I'm on the West Coast, mastering the Western Front, and just want to be thankful for the invitation. And in reference to the, I've been keeping abreast of what's going on, and you're talking about the medical equipment, and I'd like to bring you up to speed as what we are doing in Los Angeles here. What we have done, we are in the process of going to platform the GoFundMe entity. We are trying to have a drop-off center for durable goods like foodstuffs and stuff like that, masks and other items. And you mentioned about the respiratory system, and you know, we are willing to any medical equipment that you might require. Just let us know, and we will try to do the best we can. So right now we're in a very formative stage right now, but you know, we are willing to participate in whatever entity you're requesting. Sorry about the late comer. We're on the West Coast and there's a time difference, so I'm just trying to get a little bit late. Sorry for the late attendance, but I'm here. Better late than never.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gill. Chair and colleagues, friends, Dr. Gill is our honorary consul, and he's located on the West Coast. And so Andrew, what we're trying to do is to ensure that as far as possible, that there are coordinated actions for relief to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we are trying as the embassy to ensure that we channel the support appropriately to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to the Ministry of National Security, so that we can provide advanced information to the authorities at home when it comes to the clearing of the relief supplies and the corresponding documentation and the entering into the inventory, the government's inventory of the supplies that have been donated. Because in all of this chaos that is going on around us, we still have to ensure that good administrative practices, accounting practices are followed, and that at every moment, every point in the processes in which we are engaged, there is accountability, there is transparency, and that good administrative practices are followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I saw someone posted in the chat. So for the relief effort, I'll just repeat again. We're coordinating drop-off points. We're working with Councillor Clifton in Massachusetts. So we'll have drop-off points in Massachusetts where you can provide a donation. We have a local shipper through Tropical Shipping. We're sorting out that so that in 2 weeks' time, once we communicate with the ambassador and get regular information on who to send the items to, we'll be shipping off items in the next 2 weeks. We're looking at also purchasing a crate, several crates, so that we can pack some of the items, because we have medical equipment also from here, like the kabong, and definitely, Ambassador, you know, I'm all about the disability community. So to be able to provide additional resources, we'll have that in there also. So we're looking at least in the next 2 weeks, shipment will be put together to be shipped out to SVG, and our local shipper, which is 12 Island Shipping, will provide some support for us to get it to the islands. And we know that Tropical Shipping is the main carrier in the region for the for these islands. So we're going to work with them to ensure that we get these items out. So once again, drop your information in the chat. Look out for the flyers. We're going to be posting this information on our website. Now for the UK, please reach out to Rudy Page. He's our UK representative, and I know Ambassador counterpart in the UK, the High Commissioner, will also have relevant information from that area. But Rudy Page will be able to provide some assistance where and all of that. So while we prepare ourselves to mobilize these relief effort as possible. Last but least, Ambassador, wanted to ask, will there be any technical support needed from the states so we can reach out to our elected official, or is FEMA involved in providing some sort of support so we can advocate for more support in your area?
Okay, Andrew, our authorities, our local authorities are in touch with the US authorities. I know the Prime Minister has indicated that they are in contact with Southcom, and support will be provided there. With regard, pardon, to technical support, those facts, that information will be transmitted to us downstream. We are now focusing on, like I said, making sure that the people are safe, that any evacuation being done now is done in an orderly manner with people duly registered, and so that we can document their movement. while I have heard that there has been some danger to infrastructure, I am not certain as yet as to the extent of it. And please remember that this is an ongoing process as well. The volcano continues to erupt explosively, and the necessary assessments will be done on the loss of infrastructure, the value of the losses, the loss of agricultural, farmlands, crops. A value will be affixed to that. The loss of livestock, the value will be affixed to that once the assessments, which will have to be ongoing, are being done. And so we do not have that information at the time, but of course, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we have to be focusing as well on the medium and long-term rehabilitation. We have to focus on maintaining our water resources, rehabilitating our water resources, or environmental resources, or forests, what is left of our rivers or streams. Our livestock will be placed at severe risk if we do not have enough green pasture for them. And that would also mean that our farmers' livelihoods are imperiled at this moment. So we will definitely need technical support for restoration, whatever conservation we'll need to do, and the restoration, the rehabilitation. And of course, there's also the health aspect. I'm not talking about the physical health only, but there's also the mental health aspect for people. So I'm talking about physical, physiological, environmental rehabilitation. We have to survive first, and then we rehabilitate. So yes, we will need various forms of support, but that support, of course, will have to be based on the data which emanate from the assessments which will be conducted by the authority. So at this moment, I'm speaking as a layperson, mainly anecdotally. The formal reports will be submitted and filtered to us, and we can share information with our friends and partners, such as yourselves, whom I thank dearly on behalf of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for support, solidarity, and offers of assistance. Andrew, I know that the people in the chat, some persons in the chat have been asking about central points for depositing relief supplies. You spoke about that earlier. And I spoke about the account to which cash contributions can be made. If persons want to make cash donations, I'm providing information. I'm not making a request for cash donations, please. And we will provide pertinent information on the situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the impact of the volcano as that information comes to hand.
All right, can I say something right here? If I may speak as an elected official, the Caribbean people, not only in Massachusetts, but throughout the entire country, have been instrumental in the election of this new administration, the Biden-Harris administration. And I would want to advise and implore all of my Caribbean brothers and sisters that are on this chat to reach out to their congressmen and women, reach out to their senators, reach out to their elected officials. And please impress upon them the importance of coming to the immediate aid and assistance of our Vincentian brothers and sisters. This is how it works. We cannot remain silent, especially at times of emergency. We need not be shy. We need to tell our elected officials that we need action. And I'm hoping at the same time that the diplomatic missions in Washington are also ensuring that St. Vincent and the Grenadines are on the radar of the administration. I understand the diplomacy. I've been a permanent secretary in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, so I understand appointed officials have certain limitations. But I don't have such limitations, and I want us to be ferocious and even aggressive in reaching out to our elected officials and make sure that St. Vincent and Grenadines are not just on the periphery, but are a focal point for this administration and even state governments as well. That's as much I'm going to say at this point.
Excellent. Thank you so much. If you haven't put your information into the chat, please do. We absolutely will be hosting another update, and I'm working on getting the Systematic Research Center on the call, the next Zoom update, and we'll be disseminating all relevant information to the diaspora. If you're not in Massachusetts, let us know so that we can find a local representative in your area, or we can work with you to mobilize the resources to get there, because we gotta make sure we do it right and also get the relevant resources down to SVG. And I'm so happy that we have worked on the hurricane relief. So we got a little bit of hang on how things to collect, drop off point, pick up, ship, and coordinate with the government in terms of when it reached there on the ground for distribution. So we're willing as a foundation and an NGO to provide support to anyone who would like to provide support to SVG, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we'll do our tireless effort as a team. I'm happy to see Leslie and Lisa from the Authentic Caribbean Foundation, our committee member, on the call with us as we work to provide support to the region. So ACF is committed to the Caribbean region for support, and we'll do as much as possible to bring back SVG bigger and better, and in whatever ways that government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines need support, let us know.
I have a logistical question. In reference to when I collect the items sent to St. Vincent, we have a drop-off site, and then we're gonna ship the items to New York, where American Airlines will take the material from there. Am I correct in that logistical framework? You get my question?
Is it for the ambassador or myself?
Yes, for the ambassador. Logistical problem.
Is this Dr. Gill?
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Gill, yes. I'm afraid that you came through in a very choppy manner, but am I understanding you to be asking about how you would get supplies from the West Coast to St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Yes, logistically.
Logistically. That is something we could discuss later, because we're also thinking about the cost. If you're physically moving items from the West Coast to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the cost is going to be extremely high. So maybe what can be explored is procuring the items at a central location, maybe New York or Miami, and having them then shipped onward to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or airlifted to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Councillor Cadrin, reach out to me, because I know how it is with the shipping, and I've done a few in terms of groundwork from another state to another, and then continue onward. So we can talk offline.
Appreciate that.
How, yes. because I know how it is with the shipping, you know, but I'm happy that we have worked out with a couple of the shippers. So we have some local ground provider who can move items across the United States, and then we were able to send it out. I know, Ambassador, that when the hurricane relief, the government of that country had a specific location like New York where they had a broker sending items. Hopefully SVG will be doing the same also, setting up a point where drop-off can with a broker, local shipping broker in these major areas so that it can go over to SVG. But for us at ACF, we will be actioning our items as quick as possible since we have our local shipper. So everyone who is on the call from Massachusetts, and I know that efforts are being made through the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association in Boston. We'll be working with them too. They'll be coordinating efforts, drop off location and so forth. I must say Donna also is on the line, a member of ACF, and I've seen other organizations like Boston for Dominica, Janelle in Randolph, and many others. We're so happy that you guys have joined us, and we definitely going to keep abreast on what is happening. And moving forward, we will be ensuring that we have a mechanism in place for disaster for the region so that a group of us can mobilize, just like what we're doing now, mobilize the effort to provide assistance and iron out some of the, you know, the procedures by working along with the government and the ambassador who has been very engaging with the diaspora, and we appreciate all this effort. Thank you so much, Ambassador. I know you have to run on another call because your list probably hectic to just to update on the situation, but we appreciate you coming on and giving us an update on what's happening and how we in the diaspora can provide such support to the region. And we will continue to pray for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because another disaster, and guys, you know, Volcano is a little bit different, you know, and I've been seeing a lot of videos that once that ash is settled and, you know, it really becomes hard, and it's very hard. Imagine the cleanup process and how food will be affected because the livestock will be affected. So food security will be another issue. And we know that we have started our food drive, and we'll add additional support to our food drive to provide for those affected in SVG. Rudy, last thought before we close off?
We're all here to support. We're all Caribbean people, and it's really important. People like myself, I'm a product of 2 Caribbean islands, so I do have family in St. Vincent through my mother, born in Montserrat. So we do care what happens, and we're going to do our best to support you.
I have another issue in reference to the evacuees, in reference to the COVID-19 situation. I know that they'll be in a close facility, and I heard that there's a significant amount of vaccine hesitancy, especially in St. Vincent. So I just want to know how we'll address that situation. They'll be all in one facility, and I know it's a nidus for infection of the COVID-19. Any thoughts about that?
Thank you, Dr. Gill. Dr. Gill, the health authorities in Kingstown, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, have the matter in hand. In fact, since we received our doses of the vaccine, there have been campaigns, education campaigns, and people have been urged to be vaccinated, to come forward to receive the vaccine.
Okay.
And now that we have the evacuation and people being housed, sheltered in close quarters, I imagine that the Ministry of Health now has stepped up its efforts in terms of making sure that those who have been vaccinated and those who have not been vaccinated are managing their their use of physical space to ensure that the virus is not spread as widely as it could be at a time like this. I know I can give you the assurance that our authorities at home are very competent and effective in their approach to the management of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I would imagine that there are management procedures within each shelter to preserve the health of our people in the shelters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also know that in terms of those who have been evacuated to the other islands, that the respective COVID entities, because each country has its own organization, and I know that they are working closely with their counterparts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through CAFA as well, in ensuring that the COVID-related issues are being taken into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And I know, Councillor, that the importance is also, an ambassador, is to really ramp up the PPE. So the mask, those are going to be critical. You know, who thought that mask would have been so important? But now mask is very important. So we'll be sourcing these masks also. I know I have some shields that will be included. I got some donation of shields, about 100. So I'm going to be ensuring that those goes off in the next 2 weeks. And looking forward to touching base on whatever relevant information you'll be sharing with us at ACF, and then we'll disseminate into the community. So Ambassador, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining us on this important update and to provide disaster relief for the island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And please keep them in your prayers. Any ideas, anything that comes up that you think that you could provide support for, reach out to us. We're here. We're just looking for all hands on deck as we build a strong and better Caribbean for us all. So thank you once again. Thank you, Ambassador. Thanks the councillors and the representatives from your office, Ambassador, and all my Caribbean American counterparts, my NGOs who came on the call, and Friends of the Caribbean. Thank you so much. And we look forward to the continued support as we mobilize relief effort for St. Vincent and the Grenadines during their volcano disaster. Let's see how we can provide such a great support for them. And we'll keep you updated. All those who have posted their email and contact information, we will follow up with you as soon as possible. Today we're currently working on the flyer with the drop-off location and so forth. So thank you. And Councillor Clifton, I'll reach out to you after the call also. So thanks a lot again, Ambassador. Any last thought that you'd like before we sign off?
My final words are words of gratitude and appreciation to you, Andrew, to your team at ACF, to Mr. Rudy Page, Councillor Ken Clifton, And to our Caribbean diaspora, I thank Dr. Gill for joining this meeting as well. We appreciate the solidarity, we appreciate the support and the assistance. And please know that the Prime Minister as well, he became emotional when he saw the show of support and solidarity coming from regional governments. And as was said earlier in this meeting, I don't recall if it is the councillor or Mr. Page who said it, that we all in this together. That's to paraphrase. We're all in this together. We have to be one another's friends and support. And so on behalf of the embassy, my staff, we express our sincere gratitude to you all. And we will follow up by providing pertinent information which could make the processes go more smoothly. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and be safe. Guys, let's remember we're still in COVID. Wear your mask, social distancing. And if
Wash
you
your
can,
hands.
take the vaccine.
Take the vaccine.
Take that jab.
Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. Have a good
Great.
one, guys.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
right, I'll talk to you, Andrew. We'll
Yes.
talk about logistics.
Yes. Walk good, everyone. Walk good.
All the best.
Yes.
All the best. Bye-bye.